Hey guys, how's it going? Azoh here. Welcome back everyone to Unranked Master. We've gotten a couple of new viewers, a couple of new subscribers since yesterday, since the last episode. After that Reddit post that someone posted got very successful. I'm very happy, overwhelmed actually by the positive feedback I've gotten. So I hope I can keep up the momentum. It's very motivating to have so many new viewers here. But without further ado, let's get straight into the game. So today we're playing LeBlanc versus Kassadin, and this was the last game of the stream yesterday. I had a couple of bad games yesterday, actually. I played rather bad, even by my normal standard. So I ended up with one good game in the end, and why I wanted to look at this one in the end was because there was a very interesting dynamic early game with Corrupting Flask, where, of course, Kassadin usually does Corrupting Flask as a first item, and it's a very popular item right now on many champions that are played in mid lane. Or not many, but some of them that are played in mid lane, like Fizz, Kassadin, etc. And particularly how you play around your enemy having Corrupting Flask. And of course, just playing around when you're ranged in the enemy's melee, which is not uncommon either. So the entire dynamic essentially is that you want to, well, since you have essentially three things to look at in this lane. First of all, you have to look at your own Thunderlords, or four actually if you look at the enemy's Thunderlords as well, like I do here. I play around Thunderlords, and then since he's not moving back, I can also get an extra auto attack. Actually, let's take a look at that again. You have three dynamics to look at. You have his Corrupting Flask, when it's active, when it's not active, so he's not going to use it at the start, but when it is active, you want to avoid trading, but you want to force him to use it. Secondly is his Mana Shield, or a Magic Shield, so you want to bait out the Magic Shield before you burst. Now, of course, early game, this is really easy, because the cooldown is kind of long, and here, again, he stays way too long by his minions, so he takes an extra auto attack of poke. I really didn't need the extra auto attack, and again, just want to emphasize again here that this is going kind of quickly, so we're reviewing the same thing over and over, but I want to emphasize that, again, the four dynamics: Thunderlord, Corrupting Flask, and Magic Shield. So back and forth a little bit. I'm waiting for him to use his his Q, which I think he does on a minion here. So when it's out, I start moving upwards, and I know that I can take a minion here with my W. And I also know that if I do a W, I will definitely get my Thunderlords. So I end up doing it, and I set up the rest of the minions pretty well. End up missing one, but, you know, it's not that important. So at this point, I'm looking back and forth. Right now, as you can see, my Thunderlords is on cooldown. I know that he hasn't used his Corrupting Potion yet. I know he should use his Corrupting Potion soon, but unless he uses it, well, and again, here I don't have any spells up, but I should, again, even if I had spells up, I need to wait until the Magic Shield is out. Now I have my Q, which is an immense amount of damage, even if you don't get Thunderlords. If you do get Thunderlords and a non-attack, well, it's a gigantic chunk, specifically for early game. So, since I saw him using his Corrupting Flask sometime back here, I'm actually not trading. I'm walking back and forth and waiting for it to end. Even though it's not that much damage early game, there's really no need for me to do anything here. I could go for auto attacks, but there's still the risk that he Qs me. And since he has Corrupting Flask, that means more damage for him, but it also means that he can easily get the mana back. So the mana, missing that mana is not that big of a deal for him as it is for me. And I did again here, auto attacks, keep doing auto attacks. He doesn't have his Corrupting Flask on, but he uses it now. So we're probably going to either wait until he uses a Q on a minion, and then go immediately afterwards, because then he can't retaliate. Or we're going to just wait until it's out. And now it's out, and since he's in such good HP, well, he's probably not going to use it. And he just used Q, so I think when he goes for this minion here, he's looks like he wants to go for this minion here based on how he's moving back and forth, and then slowly starts moving upwards. It's very possible that he's going to move upwards and want to get it, and he ends up doing that. But the thing is, he sees me moving forward. Let's take a look at that again. He sees me moving forward, It's kind of a way far back. It's hard to navigate. Doesn't hurt though. He goes for the Q on me, and then this minion is getting shipped down by one ranged minion, which means it's going to die in like 3 hits. And he's walking back and forth, and I know he wants to go for it because he does this movement up here. And then since I start moving down here, he directs his movement to the left, which means I know he's not sure if he wants to go for it. And honestly, in hindsight, probably not worth it unless he times his Q correctly so that the magic shield eats up some of my damage. Because then I'm losing mana and I'm not doing that much damage. But usually it's still kind of a lot of damage because he doesn't have any other items than his corrupting flask, which he only has 1 stack left of, so there's no defensive. And here he decides I want to go for it, and then he sees me seeing him wanting to go for it, turns around and, well, takes all the damage, and always do the fadeaway attack. There is no reason to jump back immediately unless you're standing on top of him, but then if you are, you can jump back and then auto attack. So always do a last auto attack. I see the gank coming from the side, but they don't really have anything, and if they flash, well, I have flash as well, so I get essentially just an extra auto attack on him, and he just used his last stack. At this point, it doesn't really matter if he hits me with a Q, because I just want to pressure him out completely, because the damage he'll get from a Q just won't compensate the risk of him dying here. So now, even though I'm not sure if I want to dive, I just want to walk forward to pressure, and here he's setting up his minions not very well, so I keep walking forward to pressure, and, well, eventually just taken down, because the movement, let's take a look at that again. The movement back and forth is extremely important here. He doesn't have any stacks left. He trades a Q and I get an on attack to his face. Now this is something very important. I actually wanted to make a separate video about this, and I still might. But when you're an assassin and you end up doing a trade where, say, you're both at full HP and then the enemy takes 20% damage, and you take 40% damage, or even more. They take 40% of the HP, and you take 70% of your HP. You have 30% left, they have 60% left. That still might mean that you won the trade, because in the next trade, if it's a mage, usually you can all in and kill them. So here, even though I take definitely more damage than he did, I still won the trade, because now he's killable, and I'm not. So when he goes for these minions, well, he's dead, because the last, if I hadn't had, it might still have been the case that he died, but since I only got 1 or 2 ticks on the ignite, so take away 1 auto attack from this HP, might have been the same result, but with the auto attack, I secure that he died. So even though I took significantly more damage than he did, I still won the trade. And then clone goes down, and here I should really be warding and making the clone scout, and I think I did make it scout, but I walked the wrong way. Since we saw Sejuani going to top side, I think moving the clone to bot side is incorrect, but it's still a decent place to scout. I'd really need to place my ward a little bit though, and yeah, you can see my face cam. I was significantly tilted yesterday. For being on my Smurf, I don't know how I got that tilted from those games, but I played really poorly a couple of games. I actually wanted to include one of the games that I played really bad, but there was just, I looked at it today and there was just nothing to gather from the game. It was the biggest clown fiesta I've ever seen myself play. And that's saying something. I played since Season 1. It might be an exaggeration, but in recent memory, definitely. So, we pick up the CDR, which means we have to conserve a mana a little bit. And here, immediately, do it before I see him not channeling up Q. This is bad farming. I see him not channeling up his Q, so I knew I could go for the burst immediately. And using E on minions, it goes against what I just said about saving mana. Using W on minions here is actually fine, because they were all in an awkward HP. And I wouldn't have been able to take them under turret. This is just a bad play on my part. Like, really, it was decent because I got the burst on him. But he wins that trade. Those kind of extended trades where I trade HP just won't work very well because he has Corrupting Flask and I don't. Instead I have CDR and Boots, which means I should really be going for trades where I win consistently instead of, well, trading, essentially. I should just go for a poke. Especially versus a Kassadin who has the damage reduction as well, and the shield, so. You get level 6. Here we can either go for a push out, but since he walks too far forward, I think I just end up going double chain, and, well, death. Let's take a look at that again, actually. I'm not sure if that was the correct choice, but since I was low on mana, remember that your ultimate doesn't cost any mana, so. I was looking at my mana right now, and since I'm at 211, I pretty much have 2 spells. If I wait and farm a little bit more, I'll have all my 3 spells, but I have 2 spells right now. Ish. Like I said, if I wait up a little bit longer, it's going to be like... yeah, in like a couple of seconds, I'll have all 3 spells, because it's like 220-ish. Which is why I waited a little bit longer, and there I got the mana for the snare. So, there we go. I guess it was correctly for me. I think what I realized in that situation was that I would have enough mana in a couple of seconds, so I went earlier, because the risk was if I wait for more mana, he will find a better position, like he won't position himself incorrectly the way he did. So I ended up just going and hoping that he wouldn't flash. And if he did flash, I probably couldn't have killed him under turret, but since I was so close... I can look at that again. Since I was so close to him, it's very possible that the chain would still have been intact, and that might have been why he didn't flash. So go in, and here, yeah, he wanted to go for... He didn't realize I had mana for both spells. If he had flashed when he stood here, and I stood here, probably would have broken it, but I could have flashed, like, this way, and still have been out of turret range, and I would still have killed him. So I think that's what he realized, that he was already dead when the first chain hit. Because even if he flashed the first one and I flashed to stay in range, the second one would have hit and I could have gotten 1 auto attack and that would have been enough, so still would have been the same case. And here I'm really, when you're trying to figure out how to do with the wave, look at your own wave exactly where it is. And then I see that this, the melee minion is just around here. So it's gonna walk out, like, by the time it gets here, it's gonna be around his corpse. And it is. So I ask for a shove. I think he misunderstood it as me wanting to push. This is an awkward time to push, so yeah, he thought I wanted to push. I think I actually apologized for... yeah. And it ended up being an awkward recall because Sejuani shows up, and I should definitely have moved a little bit earlier because when I saw her, there was just no point. And here I take Dark Seal and Forbidden Idol because I can't finish Merlin, and I know that since I'm 2-0 and the game is, well, like no deaths or kills except for that, I have control of the game right now. Most likely, I think I should have taken a look at bot lane before that. To see that if they're winning, if they're losing, to kind of get a feel of the game before, yeah. But I didn't take a look at bot lane. Since they hadn't called anything, I was assuming that was kind of even, but there was really no point not to press tab, so might have been a mistake on my part. I still think, no matter what the game was, I still think because I'm smurfing, and this is not really fair because this is not something you should do in every game, but because I'm smurfing, I think I just take Dark Seal anyway. And here, I don't know. I wanted to go for a WR and then EQ, or QE, doesn't really matter actually. I think QE is better because you can just jump away from the E when you've already hit it, so you won't get to trigger your Q, but with QE, well, yeah, no, actually, because I actually have the same amount of ranks in Q and E, so it doesn't really matter. So, I mean, it does matter, Q has a little bit more damage, but, so I end up doing, and now he is going to be ready for my, attacks. So here he's winning trades by far. What I should do here is Q him and then not jump, because he's gonna want to... This is what I do here, but I ended up wanting him to, and this is an R, I think, yeah. I ended up wanting him to... This is a mistake on his part. I didn't play that well at all, he just messed up. Actually, did I play that? Now I'm not sure if I played that well. I think I might have actually expected him to do that because he didn't use his jump before. Like when I did the QW, he didn't use his jump immediately, but when he saw me waste R, I think he was saving it for an engage because it was dealing so much damage to me. Here, since he didn't jump, I should probably expect him to want to jump right now, which I do, and he jumps ahead of the minions, which is why it was fine. Actually, I can't be sure to tell you if that was exactly what I thought it would happen. I think it was, but in hindsight, I'm not sure if it was. Probably though, considering he was saving his R from the W. So we're 3-0 with 2 stacks on Dark Seal. We are at an awkward amount of money. I think I should have stayed for 50 more gold actually. Because right now, well, we're 40 gold away from... Yeah, I think I actually end up staying because, well, I need the mana anyway, so essentially we're only waiting for 20 gold-ish, like 18, so it's not that bad. It's kind of bad. I think I should have stayed for one more CS and I could have saved all that time. And always use R to lane, because you have 20% CDR and it's like 30-second cooldown, doesn't really matter. And here I'm just looking at how big of a spike it is from Tome and Forbidden Idol to Realnomicon, and it's pretty big. It's from 25 AP to 80, so... Here we're just setting up all the minions correctly. I should attack the ranged minions here. In between, yeah. I wasted one. I didn't have to use that spell, but I did anyway. I set up all the minions correctly, so one had to take 1 hit, and one was healed, so he could take 2 hits, and all the minions were... Ranged minions were 1 hit away from dying, so... Oh, that was awkward. Always, WR in lane, it's just always fine. It just shoves it so well. Here we're gonna start moving, even though there's no one there. Well, Wukong is there, but there's no one in lane there. And here they ping that there's a pink ward there, and I don't really want to waste the time, so I end up just going back. Didn't miss anything. I just missed an opportunity to potentially gank, which, well, it wasn't gonna happen anyway, so... I show up again because I might want to help Tryndamere, and because, well, I want to force Kassadin to farm Sun undeterred, but we end up getting a gank here. And I think I was going to get blue buff here, yeah, but... Ow, that's rude. And just hit him back with a couple of auto attacks. Again, never underestimate the auto attacks on mages. Especially LeBlanc, who has, like, so many good opportunities to auto attack. This was just... dumb, though. Everything about this was just... You can see my face cam, I'm not happy about that one. So I think they actually end up dying, all of them. He tries to do a really nice juke here, but fool them once or whatever, and yeah. Kassadin is out of mana though, but he ended up just walking forward and getting the kill, unfortunately. And we got the flash wasted on Janna, and yeah, I lost all my stacks as well. It was really bad. We actually could have risked the game pretty big there. Because if I waste money on Dark Seal and can't get anything for it, well, it's a big risk since I have all of our kills right now. So it was stupid. I really shouldn't have dove him when I knew he could stop the dive. So that was also pretty awkward. This is bad farming. So R is up in a couple of seconds. We'll WR the lane. I think I'll actually RW the lane. Yeah. You can do either way, it doesn't really matter. The only, like, it's slightly better to do WR because you're not killing all the minions. Or with R you have a little bit more damage, or significantly more damage. So, in most of the cases. So, you might put them just at the edge of dying and then a minion, one of your minions might kill them, and with W you just get them to like 60%. Or 40%, you deal 60% of the HP. Here I'm trying to do what I said before about baiting his R, because since he dodged my QW before, I wanted to bait him to dodge first, and then you can potentially stack it up. This Alistar is really persistent. And the Callista, it's 3 mid right now. Callista keeps sending out sentries because he doesn't want me to roam. So I think I should start getting some pink wards, but I actually end up not getting many pink wards this game. Once again, I really need to work on that, honestly. And here I trade incorrectly because he had his corrupting potion up. But it should still be fine. I can and should trade here, at least wait for his jump. No, he doesn't do it, and he walks out of range, and this is just bad spells on my part. There's really no explanation why I'd try to eat that, because he could technically walk into it, but there's no reason he would. And here I'm just trying to get him to get closer, and we bait his R again. I could WR here, which I end up doing. And here I just wait until I'm invisible. Dead. I wait. This is very important. One of the biggest tools for LeBlanc is our invisibility. It is amazing. I think it's probably one of my favorite passives in the game. Because playing around it gives you, essentially, if you watch my talent school sometime back, like 9 months back, I talk about invisibility usage and how you essentially get a free attack from invisibility. Okay, we get to see that chain again, that's good. You get a free attack from invisibility, which is pretty essential. This recall is just a bait to get him to go closer, so I can get 1 Q on him. Good. And now that I used R, I'm going to W, which triggers, and then E. And then here, I jump back to my W, because I want him to hit me, which he does, and then I become invisible and jump back to my R. And I don't have anything up really, so just a Q ignite auto attack is what I'm gonna have to use. And he ends up going for the wrong one because the clone was walking closer to the turret, which also was actually intentional. And he just jumps away with ignite on him with flash, so now I know he has flash down, and we should do some cool stuff. For example, murdering him. In-game, of course. I'm gonna continue now. Okay, so we have enough gold for a Mejai, and I'm not sure if I end up picking it up, because I only have 2 stacks right now. Well, not that. Whether you buy Mejai or not is based on how many stacks you have, but I think I just want more flat-out AP, because I'm feeling the risk of this game. As in, if they have a lot of people focusing me, like Alistar is, and I actually expected this correctly, Alistar is going to be cock blocking me the entire game, which means I need, if they do end up killing me, I need some kind of backup that isn't just, well, if you die, you're screwed. So I end up going for Rabadons, or Ludens, sorry, Ludens pretty early. Ludens is a fantastic item on LeBlanc as well. And here I almost gave away, almost didn't get my blue because I misplayed it a little bit. And they are thinking about taking red here. Here I'm just absolutely sure they took red, so I didn't even go for it. I think I should have R'd that. Yeah, I ended up doing it. And that was... I need to work on my chains, man. Bad farming again. And I was so sure they took red, but I didn't actually see that none of them had red, so our red was still up. And since we were 3, we could have fought for the red, but the risk is just that we don't have any vision, and we're not really grouped up correctly. So here we should just have left it. They got the red, we should just leave it. But I think Wukong overstays really long. He clears the small ones, and then ends up getting caught. Even though he knew there were 3 people there, I think he should have... Yeah, this is just her walking, and, well, just walking incorrectly, honestly. She knew I was around mid lane, and though she knew I wasn't in mid lane, she didn't see me roam bot lane, so she probably should have expected me to be around where they were. And here, it's just me underestimating Kassadin's damage, even though he only has a blasting wand for damage. But since he used all his stuff, I have kill on him right now. And this is jumping back to the W to get the better position for his for hitting my E, since it's closer, and it's not where he'd expect to dodge from. I can look at that again. Obviously he used his stuff earlier, and 1Q is always going to hit, or the W. Right, this is, actually now I remember what the thought process was here. Now I remember it. It was a W to begin with, because I knew I could hit my QRE, or I could do my QER. So I do a W because I want to force his stuff. Q, he can obviously not dodge. And then he ends up doing all of his spells. I end up going R, and then, because QR, and then I just put all the emphasis on fast kill instead of QER, because I needed to kill him immediately, because I was going to jump back to my W, and then I couldn't have him snared because he'd just well, kill me. And he's dead. So that was decent. And once again, Alistair really, really wants me. So we're gonna recall here. And this time I do believe we end up picking up Mejai. It should be the correct choice here since I feel like I can't afford it. Yep, we end up picking it up. And even though it's getting a bit more risky because Kassadin is becoming more and more of a threat the longer the game goes on, and which is standard, you know, it's Kassadin. So we should either shove this out immediately and try to go for another kill as fast as we can, or we should do a shove into Rome. I think I ended up doing shove into Rome. That was an awkward WR. And here we do some Metal Gear Solid stuff. I actually shouldn't have killed this. I just thought it was going to turn around. I shouldn't have killed it, and then we see Sejuani behind us. This is some good damage. I shouldn't W this. I shouldn't W her, but doing this and that here, I should definitely jump back to my R and do a Q, which could threaten her to potentially flash, even though I didn't have anything up. But I ended up not doing anything, so we didn't threaten anything, honestly. Like, there was no way I could kill her there because I didn't have R up and I didn't have W up because I used them to escape. But had I gone full on offensive, I possibly could have at least threatened, like I do here. She doesn't flash, but we end up stopping her from taking the pink ward at least. Go back mid lane, it's not too damaged, and I'll have ultimate up in 10 seconds, so I can probably fight. He ends up using his R, which is why I want to go immediately, but I just remember that R cooldown is kind of short, so... And that was way out of range, so... That minion is dead. Oh, actually, no, I had my W up and R up, so... I guess it was dead, but not dead to the turret. 30% CDR works so nicely for the WR combination. And I know that they don't have a ward here because it's pink warded. So I want them to go ward this because I know they want to check it out. So I'm going to set this up. And here I should actually just have... they actually did not see me there, which is pretty funny because it has to walk into the brush first. So I think they thought that that was just like Draven. So they didn't actually know I was there. And here I end up going for the WR because I want to be certain that she dies. And this dive was really like it. Here it was like cool, but I miss. I set up the W right, but I miss. It could have been such a nice dive, but I just straight up missed. And here I tank it one more shot so that he doesn't have to take the damage. Which, I don't know, we're both going back, so it doesn't really matter. But I guess I end up staying to take the turret, so maybe I should have... it doesn't really matter, honestly. The last turret shot wasn't really going to be the deal breaker or deal maker. We do... we end up doing... yeah, we get Dragon, and... I have to run from Kassadin, and he flashes so I can jump back to my W. I know it's worded, so it's kind of risky, but since I have R up, well, it doesn't really matter. I just wanted him to chase a little bit longer. So here he really shouldn't have traded when he knew Kassadin was coming, but I guess he didn't know Kassadin was coming, unfortunately. So, we end up, probably should end up doing some team fighting at this point. We'll see what happens though. Just trade the minions, go for my blue. It should be pretty clear. Or should be pretty free. And it is. So we can shove bot lane and wait for if someone's gonna get out of position. Really, This is a lot of, this is where the game starts becoming kind of boring in my opinion. The interesting part about this game was definitely the early game. And we see him walking upwards, but it's a Kassadin, so it really doesn't matter that much. But we still keep chasing, which is when this fight gets kind of bad. He goes for the big knockup, but since this was a good smokescreen, well, and she dodges my QR, well, it's kind of an awkward situation. They try to go for a dive here, and Draven goes beast mode, just crits them to death, does a triple kill without anyone being there, and I get stuck on Alistair again. You'll see this a lot this game, I just get stuck in Alistair. I want to go for Kassadin, and I want to go back and forth. It's very nice with LeBlanc, you can go get back and forth in fights. It's very similar to a kind of Zed playstyle. And I got really tilted because he somehow, I didn't need to do flash there, but I thought I need to trigger my R. It's very nice with LeBlanc how you can do a very back and forth kind of playstyle. So I end up getting 24 stacks here because stacks are, well, you stack up really quickly lately with the new Mejais. And with Ludens, the burst is just incredibly strong. And with 30% CDR, you can do it on and on and on again in teamfights, which is just pretty sweet. This is one of my favorite tricks, which ended up not working because I was too impatient. But I ended up getting her flash for it. If I had done that a little bit differently, I think I should have done I should have done WRQE or QWR. Because there really was no need to do a triggered spell, as in I didn't have to do the Shane or the Q, because not triggered, but like a secondary damage, because W and R, they deal more damage on their own, but if you hit the entire Q or E, or mimicked Q or E, they do more damage in total, but they do it slower, except for R, of course, because it's triggered a secondary time, but if you trigger both of them, you deal more damage than just WR. This is just awkward, all about that trade. When I missed my Shane, I should just jump back. There was no reason at all to stay. Here I expect him to go in, which is why I do the Shane, like I did the time where he died, like the third time, possibly. There's really no danger for me using a Shane anymore. It was more of a risk earlier, because I wasted a lot of mana, but right now with Realnomicon, it doesn't really matter that much. And here I see him going here, so I want to do QRE, which might trigger his ultimate, and it does. It actually even kills him. He should probably have used ultimate, just run away, but yeah, this is a mistake on my part. There's no reason. I keep doing a really, really bad chases for no reason here. See if they go in. Yeah, he goes in. And I want to bait him back and forth, because I don't know if Wukong wants to go in for it. Although Wukong did use ultimate on Alistair, so he probably shouldn't. So instead I just recall, and you see me recalling a lot of times in this game, just for HP. Here I try to make the decision between Void Staff and Rabadons, and I end up going Rabadons into Void Staff, because they don't have much MR at this point, so I just felt like I'd rather have the huge chunk of AP, because I have the Mejais, than a Void Staff, even though Void Staff probably might have been better. But it's just because I already had the Rod, and because, well, I just wanted the huge chunk of AP. So, since everyone is top lane, I should either move top lane or shove mid lane, or set up a gank, or set up a pick here, which is what I end up doing. But nothing really happens because no one walks into this. Except for Graves and Alistair, and, you know, I would have been okay with them. Here, I just see that they have this warded because they're both walking, like, with 1 centimeter between each other. It's very likely that they had it warded, and in that case, I don't really want to mess with an Alistair, because Alistair is really screws up things for LeBlanc kind of heavily. There are a lot of supports to do that, but I think All-Star is the worst. Not necessarily, one of the worst, definitely. So we want to set up this as good as possible. One of the things LeBlanc does not do well is take dragons or barons, because your spells are not really that great for it. Not gonna pretend many mages are particularly great at taking baron, but you know, most of them have some kind of like bread and butter consistent damage that you don't want to always save until the fight. Here, I just get stuck on Sejuani again. Too many fights, it's just my position is so awkward that I get stuck on LeBlanc. And of course and Alistar, like LeBlanc into an ulted Alistar. I just can't reach anything else. Now, the thing about focusing tanks, which is, I know it's been recycled so many times, but focusing tanks is not incorrectly, especially not if you're an AD carry. If you are a burst mage, you should not be focusing tanks. But that does not have to do with you. Like, the actual focusing of the tank is not the mistake. The mistake is that you position yourself so that you have to focus the tank. But actually, it's not like you shouldn't use any spells when you're on top of them. I already had 40% CDR, and like max ranks in W and Q, and 2 ranks in R. I should not use my spells because, well, I can't focus a tank. That's not the mistake. The mistake is not focusing it. You should always use your spells in the team fight. Of course, LeBlanc has a lot to do with patience and knowing when to go in. But if you can sit in the backline and just do consistent damage, it's not terrible to do it to a tank. It's not correct to have positioned yourself so that you have to do that. But if you're already there's no reason not to. It's not like you should try to run past him or just not use it because, well, you can't kill a tank. But with that said, bursting an ulted Alistar is, well, kind of awkward. So we keep trying to do a fight for Baron. Tryndamere has TP, and here, well, could have been done better, but I end up getting Thunderlords on him and getting some damage, so it's honestly fine. They take more damage from the dragon, and here they're absolutely 100% warded here. I think he knows that I know that he's there. And I think he knows that I know that he knows. But apparently not. And he ends up actually stealing it, which is pretty awkward. And I stay on the side here because... And again, Alistar every time in the fight. You'll see that this is not even the end. He is going to do that every single fight. And it's going to be very irritating. Here, I don't want to get stuck by Graves, because Graves can kill me one auto attack. Since I'm not going Zhonya's. And it's not a good fight for me this time either. My team fighting is pretty bad this game. At least in these latest few fights. I think I should have gone for a burst on Alistar there, by the way. He'd already used ultimate, and I had everything up. There's no reason to be scared right there. But what I end up doing here is AoE damage and juking back and forth. Which I probably should have done earlier. I wanted to see... Yeah, we could get one ultimate. I wanted to see if I could get something else, like a flash, but... Here he is very greedy, and I can't stay for it. I should probably jump back to earlier, though. But it's honestly fine. I can obviously not go into the brush, because if she's there, well, I'm kind of dead. So we recall I end up building towards my Void Staff, because they are getting MR at this point, and if they're not, well, they definitely will get it soon. And even then, it doesn't really hurt to have Void Staff. So how we're doing on dragons, it's 1 dragon to 1 dragon, and I have most of our kills. Me and Draven are pretty damn fed, both of us, but I think I have the most, and like there's the most pressure on me right now to perform, because, well, I mean, no, there's a lot of pressure on Draven as well. It's hard to tell in those situations. Here I should definitely snare correctly, and he ults incorrectly, so he ended up dying. If he had ulted after the snare hit, he would have broken the CC, and he could possibly have ran to Sejuani and survived, but he misplayed it. And I did it incorrectly as well. I should have... The reason why I did QRW instead of ERQW is because... Wait, we'll just wait until this fight is over. And he's on Zhonya's because he's in the middle of the team. The reason why I did the mimicked Q was because I wanted the damage before he ulted. If I'd done if I'd done ERQ, I would have gotten the second chain of potentially both the mimic and the E. The second damage, like when it actually snares, it would probably have been ulted, so there was a risk of that. So I just wanted to deal as much damage as possible. And also, since he could break the CC, there was really no point. So QR was probably the correct choice. And of course, LeBlanc doesn't deal much damage to objectives, so I should have ran it a little bit earlier. Here, however, QO, that was, no one saw that. That was awkward as well. I should definitely have walked back, and they should probably not push this because they're kind of low in mana. Here, at that point, doing a ER was correct because he had his ultimate on cooldown, so snaring him for a longer time was correct, even though it wasn't necessary and I kind of missed, so. He ends up trying to escape this, and I think they should just not fight this. There really doesn't feel like there's any point, honestly. They might get a kill or two, but we're still trading Nashor for non-Nashor. But we have Nashor on our split pusher, and we have Nashor on one of our, well, non-split pushers, so we can split it up at 104 at this point, which we probably should. I don't think we end up doing it, but in hindsight, that's what I wanted to do. Or what I want to do first is take blue and get void stuff and then group bot lane. Because with full build, it's kind of, well, pretty great. But as I said, I'm not very happy with my performance after, like, laning phase. I think I did a good laning phase, but I think my roaming was not on point. I think my team fighting was very on or off. Some team fights I was on fire, but other team fights I was set on fire, so to speak. So here, if you look at the map, I don't even know what's going on. Everyone's just running in different direction. I know that I can kill Kassadin here if I do it correctly, but it's kind of a risk. But I end up doing QR, and then he jumps behind me. Very nice of him, because then I can hit him without risking hitting any minions, so we end up taking him down. And of course, Ludens is fantastically strong, so, well, with full build, it's death. And if he escaped while I had my flash, and I would have W and R up quickly. LeBlanc is one of the few champions who can actually escape from a Kassadin in a prolonged chase, and I think I end up showing that a couple of times in this game. So we just need Draven, and we should be able to take a turret. Alistar walks the wrong direction. We should definitely have fought here, but he ended up... Oh, that was bad. He wants to really wants to kill me so many times. He is really hot in that. Which is correct, like he's doing it right because it's annoying as shit. And probably should just focus the inhibitor here, but we could see that they wanted to engage since Kassadin was alive. I think I ended up saying that as well. And here we have the Raggedy Sack's ultimate chase. I need to flash to stall, and he ends up going, whoop, too far. Around this point, I should consider selling my Mejai, because first of all, I'm dying for stupid reasons, but also getting Azonius or an Abyssal here. Probably Azonius, actually. Abyssal doesn't do much anymore. Azonius would be amazing here. Mainly for the active, but also for like some extra AP, but you know, the armor doesn't hurt either. But above all, the active would fit great here, because for burst mages, you get a window of getting back your cooldowns, essentially, and you can avoid bursts. You know, LeBlanc is already good at avoiding bursts, but you can avoid burst even better. And yeah, it just doesn't hurt. It's kind of expensive, though, which is why I haven't gotten it yet. And here, Kassadin is out of position. He ends up doing Zonias here. And We should be able to get at least one. Yeah, we end up getting him. And I had already set up a R, so... And I had a W set up, so I'm fine. This is some nice team fighting. Stay inside the range of the Janna ultimate to heal up a little bit. We have a couple of them dead. Actually, all but Kalista are dead, so... End up getting turret, inhibitor, definitely second inhibitor. And at this point, we can either try to do a Nexus push, if you look at the minions bot lane. Or we can do 3 inhibitors or 2 inhibitors. And just do Nashor, recall, and push. And if you look at the length of the video, you can probably realize that we end up doing just that. Mainly because we don't really want to risk anything, and we had a good opportunity in push's mid lane. And honestly, there's really no need to risk anything when you can pick up a Nashor for free, and with 3 inhibitors, there shouldn't be any threat, right? There should be no risk, right? Well, I guess we'll see. We'll pick up the last inhibitor, and we don't need to recall before Baron. We can just take it, recall, and then push mid. And as I type the chat, Nash be end. And again, LeBlanc is pretty damn horrible at taking Nashor. I do another mistake here. I did not see Kassadin here. I could not comprehend he was there, and above all, I didn't know they had a ward in this brush at that point. The first mistake was just not realizing how fast he got there. The second mistake was they actually had a ward there, and I did not realize that. That was a big mistake on my part. Not the ward thing. I think in hindsight, I still wouldn't have expected there to be a ward there. I couldn't afford Zhonya's here, so I ended up going Abyssal, because there's no point, and then I buy back my mages, and then I sell it, and then I buy back it. I think I end up going Abyssal. I think Abyssal is the correct choice in the end. $15 stacks is just not enough to be as, well, No, it's just not enough. Abyssal is just better in this situation. I'd probably get back my stacks anyway, but I think Abyssal just ended up being better. If I could afford Zhonya's, I would have gotten it. Without hesitation, but, you know, I didn't have enough for it. I should definitely not forget to buy a potion, which I don't, because mine just ran out. And even if it did it, I should just refresh it. So all inhibitors are down. We have Nashor, a couple of people. We should definitely choose one lane, push it down, but we have people recalling and people who are dead. Group up as 5, siege 1 turret, see if you can get a pick. Really... At this point, you really shouldn't be able to screw it up too much considering how fed we are, but we actually end up screwing it up a little bit here because fighting this is not good. So we end up doing some nice damage here. I end up forcing some stuff, and I have to flash because I got caught out of position, but we end up just destroying Kassadin with 1 auto attack from Draven and, well, my previous burst. And now they're just desperately trying to defend, and I do another mistake. As I said, early game great, everything else, what am I doing? Facecam says a lot about my reaction to this game. But that is definitely a good game. Or, well, a decent game. Good early game. Really good early game, actually. I did a lot of playing around him correctly. And reacted well to ganks, but I didn't roam correctly. Mid-game wasn't very good. Had some good team fights, but above all, I did not position myself correctly before team fights. And I think I lost with like 100 damage to Draven. Something like that, yeah. Actually, 30 damage, actually. Okay, well, in either case, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Unranked to Master. I know the late game was kind of a clown fiesta, but I hope the early game was at least somewhat educational, or at least entertaining. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.